Today's lesson is Chapel Rowan, Gen Z's bold pop sensation. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And it's our People Unit for the month of February, just a few days after Valentine's Day. I hope you had a good time. And we're going to talk about a pop sensation, somebody who is really famous, really wonderful in the world of pop music. And her name is Chapel Rowan. And I guess she's from this generation called Gen Z or Generation Z. That's a group of people who are born. When were they born? When's Gen Z born?
Kind of right around the year 2000. So one of the newer generations, I think Gen Alpha, because we got to go back to the beginning of the alphabet now. Now we've had Gen Z. We're going to go back to Gen A, but they are going by Gen Alpha. They would be a little bit younger, so think of them as being sort of in their early teenage years, whereas Gen Z, now they're getting into their 20s and things like that. And yes, definitely a bold pop sensation. When we talk about an entertainer, often a singer, but we could have a sports sensation or an acting sensation. This could be someone who really wasn't known a year or two ago, and all of a sudden it seems there's a lot of media attention about them. They're very popular, and it kind of was a sort of burst of popularity. It wasn't one of those slow burn things where they've been working in the industry for 5 or 10 years and suddenly got attention for something they've done. No, this is someone who was kind of an unknown a few years ago, and maybe because they were chosen to open a concert for Taylor Swift or they had a song in a hit movie, they went from unknown to very well-known in a very short period of time, because a sensation is this idea that it is something that's kind of come along very quickly and it's gathered a lot of attention, a lot of publicity, and popularity too. So let's find out about Chapel Rowan and why she is Gen Z's bold pop sensation. Chapel Rowan, Gen Z's bold pop sensation. Chapel Rowan is a talented singer-songwriter who is making waves in the pop music world with her distinct sound and unapologetic personality. Born Kaylee Rose Amstutz on February 19, 1998, Rowan is from a small Midwestern town in Missouri called Willard.
大家好，标题中介绍名词 sensation， 它的意思是引起轰动的人事物或是感觉。例如 Soon after its release, the new album caused a huge sensation. 这张新专辑推出不久就引起了极大的轰动。或者 The hit action film became an instant sensation. 这部热门的动作片立即引起了轰动。再来看到形容词 distinct， 表示明显不同的、差别明显的或是显著的。例如English is distinct from many other European languages. 英语与许多其他欧洲语言明显不同。或是 The artist had a distinct style of painting. 这位艺术家有明显不同的绘画风格。
Okay, so again, we're talking about Chapel Rowan. She is a singer-songwriter, so it says she is a talented singer-songwriter who is making waves in the pop music world with her distinct sound and unapologetic personality. Okay, so she's a singer-songwriter, which means she writes her own songs and she performs them, and she's very famous, and of course she's very popular, so we describe her as making waves. If you make waves, of course, you are a sensation. People are noticing you, and you are very famous.
Absolutely. So clearly what she's doing is popular with the fans, and the way she's doing it is probably helping her stand out a little bit. She's not one of your cookie-cutter pop performers. We've seen someone like her. She's pretty, she's blonde, she sings, she dances. Yeah, a lot of people have been doing that since Madonna or something like that. No, she's doing things in a slightly different, quirky, interesting, original kind of way. It says she has a distinct sound, and that's great if you're a pop performer or any musician. They kind of say, you know, if you can put their song on or put the record on, and within a few seconds, because of the music or the sound of your voice or some element element to it, you can go, oh, that's definitely that person. So something distinct or distinctive, we could also say, is kind of unique. It's very different. There are very few other things like it. It is kind of stands on its own. And she's an unapologetic personality. Well, to be unapologetic could mean that you've made a mistake. You've done something wrong. You should say sorry. You should apologize. But you're like, no, I'm not going to say sorry. That guy insulted me first. So when I insulted him back, he deserved it. I'm unapologetic. That is in one specific situation. When we use it about a person's personality, we're kind of saying you're a free spirit. You live your life the way you want. You won't try to do things just to please other people. You're not going to get married at a certain age because your parents want you to, or go into a certain career because that's the family tradition. No, I'm an independent person. I'm a unique person. I'm going to do the things I want. And if it upsets other people, well, that's their problem, because I'm just being who I really am, my authentic self. So that's the kind of idea. And then, of course, that is quite popular these days. People don't want to seem kind of the same as everyone else. They want to seem unique and special and distinct. And one of the things that makes her distinct is definitely her interesting name. And as we learn, like other performers, that is not her original birth name.
Right, that's her performing name,
Yes.
Chapel Rowan. So here it says she was born Kaylee Rose Amstutz on February 19th, 1998. That's when she was born. Rowan is from a small Midwestern town in the United States in Missouri called Willard. Okay,
Willard, Missouri. Never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either, so that's why we're describing it as a small town. Of course, Missouri is famous for St. Louis and Kansas City. But in this particular case, she's from a rural town in Missouri. Some people say Missouri. I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
But you're supposed to say Missouri for the most part.
Okay.
And in any case, she's from a small town in Missouri, and the name of the town is Willard. Maybe you want to go there someday. Maybe it's a pretty cool town to hang out in.
It could be, or it could be that kind of town that just flashes by in a few seconds as you're on the highway heading from St. Louis to Denver or something like that. Missouri, it's kind of right in the middle of America, right? That's kind of the gateway to the West, and the separation between sort of the more developed East and the more wild West as you head across the prairies into the Rocky Mountains. So, yes, I'm imagining quite a rural, quiet country town is where she grew up. And that might be one of the reasons she became so unique, as we're going to learn in the second part of the article. Rowan grew up in a conservative Christian family and often felt trapped by her strict upbringing. However, she found comfort in music, especially through singing in church and listening to artists like Katy Perry and Pink. Her first public performance was at a school talent show, where she sang the Christmas song and won.
第二部分看到形容词 conservative， 它的意思是保守的或是守旧的。例如 Although Rachel's family is very conservative, she has different views. 虽然 Rachel 的家人非常保守，但她有不同的见解。也可以说 The conservative politician often made controversial remarks. 该保守派政治人物常常发表争议性言论。
Okay, so let's talk some more about Chapel Rowan. Let's talk about her upbringing, her childhood. Rowan grew up in a conservative Christian family and often felt trapped by her strict upbringing. Okay, so if you're a Christian, of course, you believe in Jesus Christ. That's your religion. You are a Christian. And if you're conservative, well, you do things the way they've been done before. You don't try to do new things. You don't try to change things around. The opposite of a conservative is usually a liberal or a progressive person. But in this particular case, it was a conservative family. They went to church every Sunday. They did not do weird things. And yes, indeed, she felt trapped by her strict upbringing. If we talk about your upbringing, we're just talking about your childhood, when you grew up and how you grew up.
That's right. Conservative Christians. Today, we would talk about them being sort of on the right wing of politics, more Republican. They wouldn't believe they would want to restrict abortion, and they might think that women should get married and have kids and that kind of thing. And that could be quite a restrictive upbringing for young people like that. Her parents might have a lot of control over her life and her choices, might tell her who she can date and when she can date and things like that. Your upbringing is basically basically how you are raised by your parents and the values that you learn from your parents. So it was quite a strict upbringing. Not a lot of her sneaking out and going to late night parties during high school. She probably had to be home at a certain time and couldn't have crazy wild hair or fashion. And like some young people who grow up in an atmosphere like that, they want to get away from that. They want to get away from their small town, move to the big city, see all sorts of interesting things, and maybe upset their parents at the same time. It says, however, she found comfort in music. She found sort of an escape from this upbringing, from this childhood in music, especially through singing in church and listening to artists like Katy Perry and Pink. So she got to enjoy music and develop musically by singing in church, as many people did. My first singing experience was in the church choir for many years. And also she was listening to artists, popular pop artists, of course, like Katy Perry and Pink. Actually, that's interesting. Katy Perry also grew up with a conservative Christian family and had a pretty strict upbringing. But again, she also got away from that and moved to LA or whatever and became a famous pop star, kind of like Chapel Rowan did.
Okay, and her first public performance was at a school talent show where she sang the Christmas song, and she won this particular talent show. Okay, so maybe you've had talent shows here in Taiwan in your school or whatever, and in this particular case, she sang the Christmas song, and she must have done a really good job with that song because she won the talent contest by singing that song. Okay, let's move on now to the third and final part. It's kind of long, so please listen carefully.
At 17, Rowan uploaded her original song, Die Young, to YouTube, and it soon caught the attention of Atlantic Records. After signing with the record label, she released her debut EP, School Nights, in 2017. This recording showcased her introspective lyrics and rich vocals, which drew comparisons to those of artists like Lana Del Rey and Lorde. However, despite the positive critical reception for the EP, it was not profitable enough for Atlantic Records, and the company dropped Rowan in 2020. Afterward, she moved back to rural Missouri and took a year-long break from releasing music. During this time, she focused on writing songs, even while working at a drive-through coffee shop to make ends meet.
第三部分介绍名词 debut， 表示首次发行、露面或是登台。我们可以说 People waited in line for hours to buy the new phone when it made its debut. 这款新手机首次亮相时，人们排队等好几个小时来购买。又或者说 That band is set to make their debut at a music festival. 那支乐团将在一个音乐节上首次亮相。接着看到 vocal 这个单字，它是名词，它的意思是声音，也可以是歌曲演唱部分。例如 That singer is well known for her strong vocals. 那位歌手以其强而有力的歌声而闻名。再看一个例子 The band is known for having the powerful vocals of 4 different singers. 该乐团以拥有4位不同歌手的响亮歌声而闻名。继续介绍名词 reception， 指的是反应、回应，也可以是迎接或是接待的意思。举例来说The reception of the director's new film by the audience was excellent. 观众对这位导演的新电影反应非常好。又或者说 Unfortunately, Alfred did not get the warm reception that he had expected. 不幸的是 Alfred 并没有得到他所期望的热情接待。后面看到形容词 profitable， 表示有利润的或是赚钱的。例如 William turned a hobby into a profitable career. William 把兴趣变成可获利的职业。也可以说 Kay made several profitable business deals this month. Kay 这个月达成了好几笔赚钱的交易。最后看到 rural 这个单字，它是形容词，表示乡村的或是农村的。我们可以说 The peaceful rural landscape was a stark contrast to the bustling city. 宁静的乡村景致与繁忙的城市形成鲜明对比。最后一个例子 Stan runs a tea plantation in a rural part of Taiwan. Stan 在台湾的乡下地方经营一座茶园。
All right, we are back with the third part of our article about Chapel Rowan. We're getting into the more well-known part of her career for her fans, right? She's already leaving a small town, becoming a bit of a singer there, but going on to bigger and better things. It says at 17, so still quite young, Rowan uploaded her original song, Die Young, to YouTube, and it soon caught the attention of Atlantic Records. Wow, so this is a very modern way of kind of being discovered, getting a little bit of a fan base. You don't even have to be that well known, and you don't have to have a record contract or anything. You just upload your own stuff, you singing in your bedroom with a guitar or something like that to your own song, or covering a song, singing another artist's song. Put it on YouTube, and it will catch someone's attention, hopefully. When you catch someone's attention, basically they notice you. You're doing something interesting or special or unique, and they're going, who's that person? They have an interesting voice, or what a great song, or what a talented guitar player, or whatever it is. You kind of stand out from the crowd. In this case, she caught the attention of Atlantic Records, one of the most famous record companies in the world, with artists from, Aretha Franklin to Ray Charles to Led Zeppelin. So that's not a bad record company to catch the attention of. And it did lead to a record contract, to, an actual professional deal. After signing with the record label, she released her debut EP, School Nights, in 2017. Okay, so she did actually record something professionally once she was working with Atlantic. It's an EP. That means extended play. This basically would be 4 or 5 songs, probably, so kind of half an album. And a lot of artists release EPs and things like that these days. They'll release new songs, 1 or 2 a month, that kind of thing, rather than just saving up a bunch of songs and releasing a full album or an LP, a long-playing album. They release shorter ones called EPs. This was her debut. Anytime you have a debut, especially in the world of entertainment, this is your first performance. So your debut film, the first big Hollywood film you're in, your debut play on, or your debut on Broadway, the first time you've been in a Broadway show, that kind of thing. So this was her first proper professional recording that was there available for people to, listen to or buy on iTunes or that kind of thing. And it did quite well, and it also kind of showed her uniqueness.
That's right. This recording, this debut EP, showcased her introspective lyrics and rich vocals, which drew comparisons to those of artists like Lana Del Rey and Lorde. Okay, so if you showcase something, of course, that just means you demonstrate something. You show everybody else what you got, usually if it's something really special or if it's in performing or whatever. It showcased her introspective lyrics. It let us know that she's very good at writing songs. Lyrics, of course, are the words to the songs. And if it's introspective, well, it's not just dumb love songs. It's talking about the nature of humanity and of the universe. They actually tell us more than just, I love you, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. That gets old after a while. We like to hear different kinds of lyrics once in a while.
Yeah, very personal, like personal poetry and that kind of thing. You're right, not your typical, I met a boy, I'm so happy, or it's Saturday night, I'm going out to party. A little deeper, a little more meaningful. And of course, she sings very well. There are rich vocals. Rich here not meaning wealthy or having a lot of money. Just there's a lot to it. Maybe there's a lot of nice harmonies. Her voice is recorded several times over top of itself. It just gives it a very sort of big, full sound, as if she's singing with a choir or something like that. And the vocals of the music is basically the singing performance. So the vocals will make up the lyrics, the words, but also how the artist sings, that kind of thing. So there'll be the actual music that is played with guitars, drums, pianos, and then the vocals, the singing side of the music. And it drew comparisons to these other well-known artists that are not exactly your typical pop dance princess. Lana Del Rey, Lorde, also known for kind of unique sounds, unique lyrics, and as I said, not doing this sort of just typical dance around, look at me, I'm so pretty and I can sing, something a little more meaningful. It says, however, despite the positive critical reception for the EP, it was not profitable enough for Atlantic Records, and the company dropped Rowan in 2020. Wow, that's a bit of a setback there. So it did very well with the critics. It had positive critical reception. Music writers, music experts who review things online online or in magazines were like, hey, this Chapel Rowan, she's a new singer. It's a really good record. It sounds good. The lyrics are good. The music good. The so-called music experts liked it. It had a very good reception. It was welcomed very warmly. A reception is kind of like a welcome. If you have a nice reception at the hotel, they'll welcome you. They'll carry your bag. They'll make you feel at home. So this was received very well, to put that another way, by music experts and critics, as I said. But maybe the fans, it didn't quite connect with the fans. It was not profitable enough, or it certainly didn't sell enough copies. Profitable, meaning it didn't make enough money, basically. In other words, it didn't have high enough sales numbers for Atlantic Records, and so they dropped Rowan in 2020 in the same way that if a basketball player gets signed to a team and then doesn't really perform very well, doesn't score a lot of points in the games, they'll kind of trade them or let them go. They'll let their contract run out and say, well, we tried to make it work, but maybe it's not a good fit. You can go off and do what you want, but we will no longer be sort of paying you or working with you or sponsoring you. They dropped her. That means they basically released her from her contract, canceled it, and had no more working relationship after that. A lot of people then would just sort of maybe throw up their hands and move back to Willard, Missouri and get married and raise kids. They might kind of think, well, that's the end of my singing career. I've been dropped by my record label, but not Chapel Rowan.
Yeah, that's kind of what she did. She actually moved back to Missouri. It says after that she moved back to rural Missouri, which means in the country, and she took a year-long break from releasing music. Okay, so she had been trying to release music. She decided to take a break, and then, of course, she would try again later.
I guess it also helps that this is in the middle of COVID.
Right, that's a good observation indeed. Yeah, she probably decided to protect herself by going back to Missouri there. And during this time, she focused on writing songs, even while working at a drive-through coffee shop to make ends meet. Okay, so like Starbucks in the United States have drive-through. Of course, you can go get your coffee at the window. You don't have to get out of your car and go inside to get your coffee. There are various different kinds of companies that have drive-through coffee. She did that to make ends meet, to make enough money to survive.
Exactly right, because, of course, if she wasn't going to be a pop star, she still needed to have money. And that might have been a sort of temporary, a little sidetrack for her, as we're going to see in tomorrow's article. She quickly got back to the music industry, and her second time through was much more successful than the first. So we're going to find out all about that tomorrow. But for now, let's go over to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第3部分有一句写到 After signing with the record label, she released her debut EP, School Nights, in 2017. 与唱片公司签约后 Chapel Rowan 她在2017年发行了首张迷你专辑 School Nights。 我们看到前半句的 After signing 什么什么，这当中少了主词，而且 After 后面它直接接了分词 signing， 这其实是分词构句的用法哦。那我们来介绍这个用法。 Before 和 After 都可以用来引导时间副词子句。那么当副词子句的主词和主要子句的主词相同时，我们就可以把副词子句的主词省略，把动词改成现在分词 VING。 好，那么以句型来看，假设原本句型是 before 或 after 主词加动词，逗号主词加动词，那当前后子句的主词相同，就可以简化成 before 或 after VING 逗号主词加动词。如果这个副词子句是摆在主要子句的后方，那我们就会简化成主词加动词 before 或 after VING。 好，举例来说 After he graduated from college, he and his family moved to Canada。 句子里面的 after he graduated 可以简化成 after graduating， 那就变成 After graduating from college, he and his family moved to Canada。大学毕业后，他和他的家人搬到了加拿大。我们再看一个例句 Vicky applied some moisturizer before she went to bed。 句子里面的 before she went 可以简化成 before going， 那就会变成 Vicky applied some moisturizer before going to bed。 Vicky 她在睡前擦了一点保湿面霜。好，那么课文下一句提到说，这张唱片充分展现了它内省的歌词和丰富的嗓音。文中是用形容词 introspective 来描述自省的、反省的。那它是来自动词 introspect。我们来介绍它的字首字根。这个字首 intro 它有 into within 或是 inward 等等的语义，表达进入里面啊，在什么之中，或者是朝内。那么在 introspect 这个字当中，字首 intro 表示朝内，字根 spect 这部分表示观看。朝向自己的内心观看，应该可以联想到 introspect， 它有内省、自省的意思。我们顺便补充几个有相同字首的单字。第一个是 introduce， 那么字首 intro 它表示朝内进入，字根 duce 表示引导。那往内引导应该可以联想到 introduce， 它具有引进、带入或者是介绍的意思。第二个补充的是 introvert， 它的字首 intro 是表达进入， vert 表示转身转动。那同学们可以想象一个画面，看到某个场合很多人就马上转身，或者是你用转往内心世界去联想到 introvert 这个字，它表示性格内向者或者是内向的人。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Sensation.The fashion designer's unique style caused a sensation at the annual fashion show. Distinct. Although they're twins, Mike and David have distinct voices, so it's easy to tell them apart. Conservative. Karen has conservative views on marriage and family life. Debut. The director's debut film won several awards. Vocal.Thanks to her powerful vocals, the singer impressed the audience during last night's performance. Reception. Nigel's speech before the big game got a positive reception from the whole team. Profitable. The business became highly profitable after it started making sales online. Rural. Many people prefer the peace and quiet of rural life.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.